So today I'd like to share a couple of thoughts on why I believe it will take a bit more time than we might think for AR and VR to get mass adoption in education, and why I believe certain type of techno-optimism or too much of optimism can be harmful in the discussion about the adoption of VR and AR in the way we learn. Last week our team joined a panel discussion of Forbes called Forbes Next Big Thing, where my colleague Mateusz was speaking about MR and VR used in learning. And some of the other panelists actually shared an assumption that anything we do, and I mean really anything, will be transformed by VR and MR in basically 1 year. And this is an assumption I see and hear more and more often, even in education, but I believe it clearly ignores some of the challenges we need to overcome and solve to actually really be prepared for such a future. And this discussion also ignores the teacher's voice in the classroom. There was a study published this year by Samsung, according to which 18% of teachers had experience with VR in the classroom. 18%. And even though there were 74% of educators who believed really VR can improve learning outcomes of students, it's still quite far from mass adoption. And now, there's a certain pattern according to which technology and innovation spreads in the society. And the theory says that there's a certain group of early adopters and innovators who are more likely to try new things, adopt new things, and until they really get wider spread. And I believe it's a lot of you watching this video, and your role is actually, and your kind of like responsibility is actually really to show the way how these technologies can be used. And I believe, you know, like these innovators and early adopters, it's approximately, according to this theory, approximately 16%. So it kind of like reflects the results of the survey. And we still cannot really ignore the fact that textbooks are still here, and even though, you know, being transformed to different like multimedia forms, they are still here and they don't really seem to leave anytime soon. And so let me share a couple of conclusions. Number one, virtual reality and augmented reality, or MR, is something that we should still see as a superpower that teacher can leverage, but should not be really stressed out because they can't really find any use for it. It will come later on. But there's a certain group of you who really show the way how this can be used, and you should really take this responsibility very seriously to share the use cases, share all the benefits, but also to focus and stress out what doesn't work and what are some clear challenges that we need to look at a bit more careful to be able to take learnings out of it and really take the best out of the use of the technology. Number two, clearly, as I shared in some of the previous videos, professional development for teachers is super important really to move further in use of VR, and high quality content and curriculum is a key for wider adoption. You know, a lot of times the techno-optimistic arguments come from the gaming industry and startups that are kind of like are not able to leave their, you know, technology bubble. But like in education, really PD and high quality content drives the adoption. And number three, you know, it's a responsibility of companies that actually create VR content in education to really drive creation of professional development for schools and teachers, and to really help teachers integrate these practices and these new methods in learning to make sure that it's not just trendy techie bubble that explodes, but that's really something meaningful that really helps teachers improve the learning outcomes among their students. Thanks for watching, and let me know what you think. Let's discuss a little bit.